Welcome, everybody. I'm confident this is going to be the best session you're going to have today. It's a little warm, so hopefully we'll stay cool. I want to thank the panel for joining me today, a panel of senior leaders with a ton of expertise in this field. We have Andrea Kando, who is the Chief Payments and Strategy Officer for Touch Bistro. We have Shane Murphy, the CEO of Ownr, and Chris Poshni, the head of sales for Wix POS. So the topic today is vertical fintech to the service of small and medium enterprise. The reason we say SME is it takes up a lot less time. We're going to continue to refer them as SMEs for the balance of this conversation. My first question, and also a good way for each of you to introduce yourself to the audience. Andrea, I'll start with you. Could you share a bit about your role at Touch Bistro and how your company is utilizing vertical fintech to address the unique needs of SMEs in the restaurant industry?
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. So my name is Andrea Kando. I am Chief Payments and Strategy Officer at Touch Bistro. Touch Bistro, for those of you that don't know us, is an all-in-one restaurant management solution. So our focus is really ensuring that restaurants have all the tools they need. From the perspective of front of house support, so that's everything from table management, order management, all the things you think about that happen, we all eat out, right? That happen when you go into a restaurant, as well as back of house management, so that's everything that, kitchen display systems and things that have to help fulfill your orders, as well as manage the restaurant through revenue recognition, reporting, et cetera. And then our third sort of part of our suite is guest engagement. And so you think about that. You could also think about it as diner engagement. So this is marketing tools, loyalty, gift cards, online ordering, et cetera, that really help make sure that restaurants can acquire new business and keep existing customers coming back. Excellent.
Thank you. Shane, as CEO of Ownr, can you tell us about your mission in supporting SMEs and how Ownr leverages fintech solutions to simplify business and management?
Sure, thanks, Marc. And yeah, maybe a lot of people here aren't familiar with what Ownr is either. So the short version of the story is we are Canada's leading platform to help small businesses get incorporated, register a business, and keep that business in basic legal compliance for SMEs. So the story is I'm a reformed corporate lawyer, founded this business 8 years ago, roughly, and 4 years ago we were acquired by RBC, and now we operate as a division of RBCX, which is the tech and innovation platform at RBC. But that shows our connection to fintech is really where we position ourselves with these very early stage SMEs that come to us to get the legal stuff done simply online through a technological platform. On that same platform, we're then integrated into financial services at RBC. So then we can set them up with an RBC bank account, credit card, whatever they need to get off the ground. So it started with just get the legal stuff done, but now it's also a matter of helping them get financially off the ground. And to this day, we've registered about 200,000 Canadian businesses, opened tens and tens of thousands of accounts at RBC. So it's shown a nice example of startup community connecting to a traditional financial institution and that kind of synergy you get when you put us all in the same room.
Beautiful things happen.
Cool things happen. Yeah. I hope that answers the question. Yeah.
Thank you, Shane. Chris, can you introduce us to Wix POS and explain how Wix is empowering SMEs through its vertical fintech solutions, particularly in the e-commerce and retail space?
So thanks, Marc, and it's funny, I'm hearing my colleagues here go through their speech. I'm off topic already on this iPad. So Chris Poshni, I've run sales for probably the last 15 years. I've been in payments probably for the last 25 to 30 years. I'll start off with an introduction to Wix, because a lot of people don't know what Wix is. Wix is this year going to celebrate its 17th anniversary, so we're 17 years old. We are the largest website builder in the world. So when you think of a beautiful, personalized website that uses AI tools that builds and manages a website, Wix is usually the tools that many of our kids use to actually build a website. What I do at Wix is I run our point of sale division. So what we do is we empower SMBs to streamline their online and in-store retail or service experiences. What does that mean? Because there's a lot of people who say they have a point of sale that is omni-channel. What that means is we're able to manage everything from your inventory, your bookings if you're a service business, sales, payments, CRM. We have an in-house CRM system, your customers, all to give it in one solution. So it gives you an omni-channel commerce experience. And if you just think about some of the players that are out there, for those that are in the point of sale side, many say they're real time and they can do it. With the power of Wix and the ability to have a website with your in-store experience, it gives someone a true omni-channel experience.
Thanks, Chris. So shifting gears and talking a bit more about the topic of the competitive advantage of vertical fintech versus generic solutions. Andrea, let me ask you a question. In what ways do vertical fintech solutions offer more specialized and effective services for small and medium enterprises?
Yeah, look, I think when if I were to take Touch Bistro as an example, but we're a restaurant, right? But really any vertical, when you start with the notion that the customer comes first and you develop software and solutions around that very specific experience, then you start to it becomes very clear that the same solution that works in a healthcare environment doesn't work in a restaurant environment, right? And so when you think about the restaurant environment, which we all can understand, like mostly card present, right? It's very different from other verticals. And so when you start to think about how do you integrate a pay at table experience versus a bar tab versus an online order that then turns into an omni-channel experience, right? It really does help to focus and laser hone in on what you need to accomplish for those specific use cases. And it seems so straightforward and easy to say, right? But when you really start to unpack and sort of pull away the layers of what that experience requires, how you're serving the restaurant themselves, and then ultimately their diners and the experience that their diners want, it becomes very powerful, and it makes sense to really start and lean in with the vertical first, and that's how people buy software.
Yeah, Shane, I think you were trying to. You looked like you were about to jump in.
I was enthusiastically nodding. I think, it was really what I was just thinking about is I think fintech and a lot of startups, what we lose track of is empathy. And that's exactly what Andrea was saying. That customer-centered focus is really just about having empathy for your customers. And what I find is a lot of these SMEs they're tired of your sales teams. They're tired of the next new thing and the new shiny toy. What they're really concerned about is, where's the value in this? Like, they don't want to be just constantly pitched a new thing. Because I think we sometimes have this perception of SMEs as like these boomers who are just keeping track of their business on notepads and the abacus or something. But they've been through successive generations of fintech. So what I love about vertical focus and industry-specific solutions is because they can look at it and say, I get it. This is for me. This is someone who's thought about my business and what I'm trying to accomplish, rather than these, super app type things saying that they're everything for everyone. No one really buys that. If you've got it, good for you. But I think SMEs like to say, this is, I'm a restaurateur. This is my restaurant app. I get it. I know. I'll switch to that. So yeah, empathy is really what it comes down to.
Yeah, Marc, I'll add. I got my first taste of a fintech actually here in Montreal, and in the banking space, there's traditional banks didn't give out merchant cash advances or loans to small business in certain segments. And we started working with a company here in Montreal. I believe the first name was Advanced, moved to Thinking Capital. It got purchased by Purpose Financial. And I'm going to say 15 years ago, we actually built the first split settlement for merchant cash advance. And for anyone that's in the audience, traditionally restaurants that go to Touch Bistro, they have a hard time getting funding from a traditional bank. What the merchant cash advance category really opened up is you essentially get an advance of cash, and alternatively, you pay for it, let's say 10% of your sales for the next 9 months. It allowed restaurants to grow, and it was a good introduction to seeing a solution that was solved where a lot of small business have a hard time getting capital and a solution to it.
Great.
I just have this really example that it's a pretty simple example, but I think it really does hit home. So we had a customer who they ran a comedy club. So they would serve drinks, and between sets, they would do all the service and bring you drinks and everything. The comedian would be up there, and then as the comedian was sort of ending their set, they would go accept payments. Well, they would deploy, I don't know, 6, 7, 8, 9 devices out on the floor, and as the payments were happening, they would beep, right? Like you wouldn't, I don't know, you pay at the table all the time, right? A beep kind of tells you, yeah, it's done, right? Most people appreciate that. The comedians on stage were so disrupted by all of the beeping that we had to take sort of immediate action. And I think that's the kind of feedback loop and the very specific thing that you only think about if you're really, really deeply embedded in that industry.
No, clearly. That's great. Thank you for those thoughts. Maybe Shane, I'll throw back this next question to you. What strategies are your companies employing to maintain a competitive edge in the rapidly evolving fintech landscape?
First, the competitive advantage came from never being afraid to go really high up the funnel, like find a new level, find the clouds above the funnel. And the earlier we could attract those entrepreneurs, the people behind the SMEs, we can bring them into an ecosystem and always drive more value that way. So we start, obviously, I mentioned the incorporation type service, that's great. But then we were thinking, what's even above being ready to incorporate that business? There's all these dreamers out there who want to someday start a business. So we built a great business plan generator. Now the business plan generator sits on top of Ownr. Then you can incorporate. Then we said, well, what's after that? They need a bank account. They need a credit card. Great, we're getting through the funnel. What's next? Insurance. Let's build an insurtech platform. So now we offer something called Ownr Insurance, which sits farther down the funnel. So it was really just but we started the core value very high up where other companies really weren't looking at who wants to deal with a company that isn't even incorporated yet. It's given us an advantage to go really, really early and to try to, frankly, we're there for entrepreneurs, not even just for single businesses. The businesses come and go, but once we have that entrepreneur in the funnel, we can always find new things to offer, new value for them.
Yeah, great. Chris, did you want to add to that?
Sure, Marc. Look, I think every company can say innovation, technology is important. We focus on that being the website building industry. We're starting to add AI tools into the website building creation process. I think if I gave you a real life example, the website side is a massive business for Wix. We started Wix POS probably 3 years ago. And one of the big things we look for is continuous improvement. So within Wix POS, we actually have a section, a help section, that allows a business owner to ask for, A, they can ask for help, but B, they can actually ask for things they want to see improve on Wix POS. That turns into a cycle for us to do continuous improvements to give the users of Wix POS what they want. So that becomes really our largest roadmap in ensuring success. So it's one of the positives with Wix POS.
Yeah. The central theme I'm getting from all of your points on all the questions that I've asked so far is what's at the center of all this, and that's the customer. Where's the customer's input, how you're guiding your services and products based on the customer's requirements. So we know that small and medium enterprises, I'm just shifting gears a little bit here, small and medium SMEs are struggling. It's a tough environment out there for a lot of them. What are and maybe Andrea, I'll start with you, what are the most common financial hurdles that SMEs face today, and how does your organization help address those?
Yeah. So I would say in the restaurant space, there are several. One is just startup capital. It costs a lot of money to start up, and oftentimes these are dreamers, right? Who don't necessarily have a formal business plan. They're not, all always in business like we are. They may not have credit, and so access to capital. Initial capital and credit is an important part of what they have to overcome. For those that are in business and have been, access to capital is still an issue, right? They run on very thin margins, and so being able to get quick capital to open up and pivot, open up your patio if you need to, because there's going to be a couple nice days, or the pandemic is its own. We could spend 5 days doing case studies on that, right? But in addition to sort of capital and credit access, I think things like inflation is real. We see a lot of restaurateurs dealing with the rising cost of inventory, labor, the rising cost of labor, and just labor shortage, and how to really think about kind of addressing that and then optimizing sort of their food costs and their margins. It's a constant, battle for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Shane, did you have any further thoughts on that?
Yeah, Andrea sort of took the easy one. Yeah, I think capital is the big question for startup businesses always. But another angle we take on it is really just the knowledge gap to be like, okay, for a first-time entrepreneur, how are they going to plan out this business in a way that meets their current capacity and the capital available to them? The great thing, I think it's a compliment to the work that's been done in fintech, is it's cheaper and easier than ever to start a business. So some people are surprised when you bridge that knowledge gap about, well, what's it going to take to at least get this, maybe not from 0 to 1, but 0 to 0.5 in your growth journey. You might not need to raise a round. You might not need to take out a large loan. So we've built some planning tools. That's our business plan generator I was talking about. And all across our platform. The legal stuff's intimidating. Even the banking things can be intimidating. So treating our platform as our knowledge center and taking that very seriously as our mandate, and then building those tools that they're not money makers for us, but they're complements to the core service by having budget planning tools and things like that. So we take that educational approach to sort of soften the blow of the inevitable capital challenges.
Yeah, and Wix lives on the other side, where during the pandemic, websites exploded, everyone wanted to be online. Where we Wix is basically the same as Andrea had said. We're looking for the dreamers that want to build a website, and to be honest, we have free versions of the website. I know I have a 10-year-old daughter who built a pet store. It's not real or anything, but she was able to put in inventory and built a full website on it. So it looks for the dreamer in it, and then as you grow, we have packages to help you either get your website online, add various marketing tools all the way upstream. So it's a progressive approach to the difficult times that we're seeing.
Yeah. So a lot of solutions, a lot of approaches, a lot of ways to help businesses get started, get access to capital, get their business, put it in a good position. So I'll evolve the conversation towards exploring how vertical fintech is revolutionizing commerce solutions for small and medium enterprises. So what role, and maybe Andrea, I'll pass this question to you, what role does commerce solutions play in supporting the growth and sustainability of SMEs?
Yeah, just to carry the theme forward that we started with, right? If you put the customer first and you really think about embedded experiences, not just embedded finance, right? But embedded experiences that leverage all of the data that exists when a customer's doing business, right? So there's plenty of data there. In the sort of traditional way, or the old way, I should say, it was really incumbent on the customer to thread that needle and put all that together, right? Now we have ways that we can create these really seamless, frictionless ways that we can actually present offers to customers based on their profile, based on their processing history, based on their sales volume, et cetera. We have so much data. Almost everything that a customer does runs through vertical specific software, right? So being able to present that easily, leverage the data that we already have, makes it so much faster and easier for a customer to sort of tie all that together, take advantage of capital and all the things that we talked about that they actually need, and just keep their business moving without having to sort of stop and go do the thing, right? We always talk about that, like do the thing, boarding, experience, like application, all those things. The easier you can make that, the more successful everyone will be, right?
Yeah. Did you want to?
Yeah, I'll carry on.
To say something. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll carry on the easier. I think as a website business, we're helping you build and manage your online experience. And I think where we go is we go into things like marketplaces, social media platforms, physical stores to be able to expand your businesses. We want you to grow, and we want to grow with you as you go through that. The other part we look at is the integration capabilities. The three of us can't do everything. So as an example, we have a marketplace where it allows every website or POS user to go get an accounting software. So pick the best in class and bring it in-house to streamline processes for them, reduce duplication, make it more operational efficient. So it's there to help you. And I think the commerce solutions that are out there are really improving as we move forward.
Great, thanks. Shane, I'll throw this next question your way. How have you seen the adoption of new platform and technologies impact day-to-day operations for these companies?
Yeah, I think the SMEs that I talked to were just as customer focused as our companies are, even if they're operating at a more micro level. Like they want to meet their customers where their customers are. And where I'm going with this is the customer generally is demanding modern payment solutions, for example. That said, in the last month, I've had 2 people ask me for checks, and I'm like, "What? Don't ask me for a check. Whatever you do." But that said, like most customers now are saying, if you're coming to my house to do some work, I want to tap to pay, for example. So we're seeing, I think, SMEs. Even the laggards are saying, well, my customers are demanding this change, so my operations need to be re-examined. No matter if I'm a plumber or if I'm a startup, I want to meet my customers where my customers are at in terms of their comfort with technology. So I think that's it. Like, it puts pressure on us to stay on top of things because our customers are looking back at their customers, and they want to be part of a modern payments ecosystem.
Yeah, great. Did you want to add to any of that?
Yeah, look, when I think about Touch Bistro, we have sort of a couple categories of customers that come to us. One is ones that are just moving, quite frankly, from a paper and pen type environment and have realized that it's time to upgrade. The second is customers who are on some legacy on-premise system and realize the value of a cloud-based solution and how they want to manage their business. And then the third is they might be switching from another provider for a whole host of reasons. And I think when they come to us and we give them, depending on where they are in that journey, and that's sort of what I call like your digital adoption journey, bringing things like simplified workflows between front of house and back of house, bringing things like inventory management and recipe costing. I mean, we can tell you down to the cent how much money you're making on a particular recipe on a particular day. Doing things like staffing and payroll management and all of those other integrations that we have to really help simplify just saves them time and lets them focus on what they want to focus on, which is delighting their customers, quite frankly.
Yeah.
I know it sounds kind of hokey, but that is really why people go into this business, is because they love to entertain and they love to make people smile.
Yeah.
And they don't want to spend, you can't do that in your back office.
No. So this next question I think is a fun one. You've talked, all of you, about some of the trends and changes and how solutions are working to meet where customers want to be. What's something new or something that you see emerging, and maybe Chris, from your vantage point, maybe observing things developing on the horizon that you see coming, and how is your company reacting to that?
Yeah, look, I think one of the biggest things, and I have a ton here that I kind of wrote down, but one of the biggest things that you're seeing in the market, and anyone who looks at stocks knows that AI-driven companies have gone through the roof. Wix has actually developed, and one of our parts that we've tried to do is integrate AI-based tools into our platform for web creation. So we've taken it a step further, and it allows you to use the AI solutions to actually build out your website. So you could build out websites prior with no developer with Wix. This takes it even a step further in that journey. The other part that we're doing is Wix chatbots for customer care. And if you can help a business streamline processes and fix problems and become more operational efficient, we're trying to do that. In terms of actual selling, some things like social commerce, that is a growing trend. People would like to buy through Instagram, Facebook. We fully integrated into these channels with the idea that if you can actually open up more opportunities for small business to sell where people are going, that's really important for them to increase sales opportunities, whether it's domestically or globally. And that's kind of the two I'll pick out of the five.
Yeah. Yeah, you made a point. I think it's really important. The last thing a customer wants to do is spend time trying to fix a problem. They want to be focused on their passion, which is their business. So having them stick on the phone on hold or something is not something they want to do.
100%. And
Yeah.
look, a lot of small business owners don't have the technology savvy to do the things that someone like a Wix or any of us up here can do for them.
Yeah.
You have to make it easy for them, and those that are still writing out their accounting on their little spreadsheets or whatever they're doing, you got to take that away from them so they can focus on their businesses.
Yeah. Andrea, as Chief Strategy Officer, what are you seeing as trends developing at Touch Bistro?
Yeah. And I'm not going to lie, those Instagram ads really work on me. And I've actually, interestingly, I've seen a lot of brands that I thought had died really, really reinvigorate themselves kind of through Instagram. And it seems like a pretty cost-effective way, a way of getting that accomplished. But in any event, look, we actually do a lot of studying of our market, right? We publish two big research reports annually. One is, state of the restaurant industry, where we're really talking to restaurateurs about what their businesses look like, and then we actually publish diner trends. So we go out and we interview diners about what they're looking for, and so I'll get there's a lot to unpack in there in terms of, but it's all around the experience and what they want to drive. I'll tell you, 85% of customers who end up in a restaurant look online first. So your website's really important, right? And they might look at probably a lot of you do this, right? Like, oh yeah, we're all going to go out to a restaurant. You kind of look online to see what there is to order, so you don't sit there, waiting to place your order. The other thing I would say is, and this is an interesting shift, is during the pandemic, there was a lot of pay at the table, like QR code type scenarios, like lots of digital, minimize the face time. That's actually turned. A lot of customers now prefer sort of the face-to-face interaction with a server, right? And so when you think about designing commerce experiences around that, QR code payments, interesting, kind of cool. Some people like it. A lot of people don't. And I would say it does vary by geography too. Like bar tabs in the U.S. versus Canada are a whole thing, right? So it's kind of, you really have to be specific to sort of what the time is and what people's experiences sort of drive and how they want to interact. And they are now going out because they want an interaction and an experience versus just food.
Yeah. Amazing insights. Thank you. The last topic that I'm going to focus on is the vertical fintech's impact on business management for SMEs. And Shane, we haven't gone back to you for a bit now, so I'm going to throw this question your way. How do vertical fintech platforms simplify business management processes for SMEs, particularly in industries like hospitality, retail, and online services?
Yeah, the thing that stands out to me about this is, I spent a lot of time talking to groups of lawyers and this whole world of legal innovation, which I won't get into here for your own benefit, really. But the reason why it's interesting is I think when you started a small business in the past, you needed a team. You needed to call up your lawyer that you trusted. You needed an accountant that you trusted. There's a whole network of people and professionals that you would draw on. And more, people are placing their trust in technological solutions, which are quicker and faster and more affordable. I'm not saying there's no room for the professionals, but they've really had to adapt to this reality where previously you would incorporate your lawyer, you would incorporate your business by going to a lawyer, and now owners kind of taken that away, and lawyers have had to adjust, and it's fine. The lawyers are going to be okay. I always tell them they're going to, but I think we've seen that now for several generations with accountants and some of this really low-level bookkeeping. A small business doesn't need to pay for that. They can manage it themselves, and we've all adjusted to that now for 20 years or so. So this idea of your founding team is less and less about the network and more about the stack that you're building. Again, I love teams, I love collaboration, hell, I love lawyers, but I think you can just do so much more with that tech stack now than you could in the past. That becomes the starting point, and then grow a little bit before you make that call to a lawyer, and you'll be okay.
Yeah, you'll be okay. Chris, did you want to add on to that?
Yeah, I think from a Wix standpoint, what started as a website builder kind of rapidly expanded to looking at the life cycle of a client. You can do everything from the online store creation. We are specialists at inventory management, and it carries it all the way down to multi-channel selling, payment processing, and then if you open up a store, you have an in-store that creates basically a in real-time omni-channel solution, which isn't common. So that's kind of, everything is simplified. And in the old days, I think what often happened, for all 5 of those activities, they went somewhere else, and you're trying to plug into one solution or 5 solutions into one, where I think a lot of the solutions we have, and I know Touch Bistro well, where we're trying to look at the customer, the business owner plus the business owner's customer, and create one tool and life cycle all the way through the model.
Yeah. My next question, Andrea, you've already talked about some of the features of some of your applications, the front of the restaurant, the back of the restaurant, all of those things. But what are some of the most innovative features that you see that have directly contributed to more efficient business management practices for SMEs?
Yeah, I think I would say we're really proud of our inventory management solution. So just to sort of walk the example, right? When you are in a restaurant, there's a a pallet of whatever that comes off all of your your food, your supplies, et cetera. You're inventorying everything that comes in. You're then applying those ingredients to specific recipes, and then as you're bringing that inventory down, you're needing to keep track of what I have to reorder. So there's a lot of complexity that goes into it, right? I mean, I can barely even keep track of my own grocery list at home, right? And I have Alexa, and so it is. She's probably going to come up on my phone. But that whole thread, right, which then integrates with your food suppliers, which then helps you manage and pay invoices, which then helps you sort of understand your food costs, which then also helps you sort of understand what's selling, what's not selling, where do I need to, it just simplifies a lot of what my husband, who's an ex-chef, called the clipboard process, right? It was just, he literally had 15 clipboards, and they all meant something different when he was running the kitchen, and now that's all sort of online and sort of kind of done for you. So it's been it is a very, very useful and helpful tool for people to manage their very complex back of house solutions.
Shane, thank you, Andrea. And Shane, what have you seen in terms of some really innovative business management tools?
Yeah, I don't want to get too much into pitch mode here, but I think the business plan generator that we created at Ownr is something I'm particularly proud of because it's free, and it just sits on top of our platform. It's called Blueprint. You can see blueprint.ownr.co, a free business plan generator that is just sort of really aspiring to be something a little bit next generation. It goes deep, it's interactive, and regardless of the industry you're in, I guess it's not particularly vertical that way, but it covers a wide range of what you can do with a small business. I think, just proud of how we've kind of helped entrepreneurs, and we're seeing them every day use that to get more informed about what it's really going to take to get this business off the ground.
Yeah. Great, thanks, Shane. So, Chris, maybe I'll start with you for this last question. But as companies that do business with Wix grow, how do you ensure that you're able to grow with them and scale up with them at the same time?
Yeah, I think the starting point for us is it's, look, we offer our free websites to whether it's the dreamer or the individual, the entrepreneur. And we build our business packages to help them grow through the stream and the life cycle. So that's really our focus on terms of the packages. As a customer grows, and when I look at Wix POS, usually they have an online store. They've been successful with the online store. They now want to open up a storefront. We kind of give them that full circle of the storefront. But then we follow them through to onboarding. We watch to make sure that they're growing. We're doing onboarding calls to make sure they're successful. And then we follow that up with account management to ensure that we're watching the customer as they grow. Because, look, it's easy to get customers, but you want to keep them. So we try to follow them right through the plan all the way to an account management stage of the life cycle.
Yeah. And Andrea, at Touch Bistro, as restaurants set up, start, become successful, maybe think about opening different locations. How do you support them and during that growth?
Yeah, look, I think when you are first opening a restaurant, you've got your eye on very critical things, right, just to get your doors open. And then as you start to grow, you start to think about, well, how can I create promotions and offers for my customers? How can I get loyalty customers back in? You know, we know that 47% of customers who are in venue are actually loyalty customers. They've been there before. They're doing their research. They like loyalty programs. They like marketing programs, right? And so being able to scale and flex and offer those additional services that really help, not just native to, not just the point of sale itself, right? We see a lot of quick service restaurants that end up needing table management because they end up adding servers down the road. So like without having to rip out your POS, which is very disruptive, and do it again, like we have features that are built within the POS itself that help the restaurant grow. But then also those value-added services that really help them kind of market and gain more business. Social media, right? We have platforms that help you deliver social media campaigns that are really, really effective and manage kind of your social media presence, which again can be, as you know, incredibly time consuming, right? Yeah. And it just kind of puts it on autopilot for you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your insights, your experience, obviously, and your passion for SMEs. Came really through loud and clear. We do have a little bit of time. I understand that there's microphones available. If anybody has any questions for anybody on the panel here today, we can open it up.
I just wanted to say, Shane, we use Ownr at Get Right, and it's part of my French, but fuck, you guys are amazing. Like we don't want to deal with the incorporation papers and the find a bank account. I mean, when we found Ownr, it helped us so much. I'm like, okay, I can actually focus on getting clients, not BS bureaucracy that I gotta fill out like 20 papers, especially in Quebec, you know, the capital of bureaucracy. You know, we just say like, you guys are amazing and we love your software. Cheers.
I love to hear it. I did not pay him to say that, and I do not know this man, but no, thank you.
He paid me.
It makes my day. Thank you so much.
I was just going to say, if there's been swearing in any of the other panels today, this makes us unique. There has been? Okay. Maybe not so unique. All right. Anybody else? All right. Well, thank you very much for sticking with us through this heat. Thank you once again. Really appreciate your time and your insights. Have a great day.
Thanks.
Thank you.